know if you guys can hear it, but the breeze and the winds are finally starting to pick up again, which makes things so much cooler down here. It has been hot. Hey everybody, welcome back to Disappointing Your Demons. My name is Ron, a grateful recovering alcoholic. I actually have what I think is a pretty good topic today and a pretty good video, and I'm going to try to do the subject matter justice. But as always, this is just my opinion and not my, it is just my opinion, and I'm not a doctor. I am not a psychologist. I'm just a guy who drank too much and lives in the middle of the ocean. So I actually recently got kind of into a discussion on the comments section of another YouTuber that I watch, and I've mentioned it before. His channel's Bat Country, and his video was about, I think the crux of it was whether, or part of it was whether or not alcohol should be made illegal. And that's not really what I want to talk about. I don't really have an opinion on that one way or another. But, I do have an opinion on that. God, this isn't going well already. So I don't think that it should be made illegal, but the point is that I got into a conversation in the comments section with somebody, and I had commented that making alcohol illegal is not fair for the rest of the world just because a couple people, obviously more than a couple, but have a problem with it. And while yes, I mean, if you do the research, alcohol is very toxic and very poisonous and very bad for your health and can ruin your life. So many other things too, though, that are still perfectly legal. And I made the analogy in the comment section of that. It's like the kid in school with the peanut allergy. You know, one kid has the peanut allergy, and all of a sudden nobody can bring peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to school for lunch anymore. And my opinion on that is, like, you know, why should one kid's problem affect the whole class? And somebody got on there and retorted that, you know, he was born with it and it wasn't his choice, and that to make him feel more included, or whatever the fuck, I don't know, that he shouldn't be sat to the side. You know, the rest of the class can make the sacrifice of not bringing a particular type of sandwich, which, you know, whatever. I'm not going to get into that argument in particular, but it got me thinking, and I replied, but is alcoholism really a choice? Is drinking really a choice? Is addiction really a choice? In my continuing on countering his argument, sure, a peanut allergy can be pretty severe, and if it's severe enough, it'll kill you right away. Go into anaphylactic shock and anaphylaxis rather, and throat close up and it'll kill you. But so can't alcoholism, and so won't alcoholism. It's a much slower death, but it'll still kill you just the same if you keep tempting fate and you keep drinking when you're an alcoholic such as myself. But anyway, so that got me to the point, and got me thinking, like, is it really a choice? For myself, if you've watched my other videos, you have seen or you've heard my story, but there was a lot of factors that played into my alcoholism and my self-medicating and my my drinking. Like I had mentioned before, I was molested when I was a kid. I have done some research and found out that since I'm adopted children, I was adopted when I was 5 months old, but I was put up for adoption when I was about a month old, I believe. And after seeing my kids grow and also seeing my grandson grow, and those 5 months of your first year of life are so formative for attaching to your parents, or bonding, learning how to bond. Um, and not going to get deep into that too much either. But so right off the rip, there's that. Um, and then other things, other factors that I've talked about. It's just so many things that were kind of stacked up against me as far as alcoholism goes. But was it a choice? Like, is it a choice? Sure, I feel like I chose to take my first drink. I chose to relapse. I chose to do a lot of things. But I really truly believe that I was born an alcoholic. I'm definitely somebody with with addictive personality. You always hear that, oh, I have an addict. I mean, cigarettes, gambling, sex, women, freaking, you name it. Like, and then when I'm not indulging in that stuff, like I used to get like obsessed with things, like cooking and golf and hockey, and and it wasn't like a normal like love for the sport or love for cooking. Like, it was an obsession. Like, I had to have all the best pieces of equipment, no matter what I was, whether it was the best golf clubs or the best skates or the best stuff, kitchen appliances, whatever it was. Like, I would literally just I get addicted to everything. And you could make the argument to me, if it was just one thing, like if it was just one thing, like if it was just alcohol, if it was just cocaine, or if it was just cigarettes, I would say, you know what, you might be right. It might be just a choice. This might just be something that I like and I choose to indulge in it. However, it's not. It's everything. And so I go back to, no, I think I was born with it. Because it goes back to like environmental stuff. Like, I was not raised in an alcoholic family. Sure, there were people in my life and people that I idolized who definitely drank a lot, and I think were alcoholics. However, I was not raised in an alcoholic family. I said before, I can count on one hand how many times I saw my dad drunk before I turned 21. Even after I turned 21, I only can think of a handful of times that I saw him drunk after that too. Just drinking was not a thing in my house when I was a kid. But I can tell you this much. At 8 years old, I told the story before, I was at Thanksgiving dinner one year, and my mom was sitting next to me, and she had a glass of wine, and I smelt that glass of wine, and I thought it smelled like the most delicious thing in the freaking world, and I begged her for a sip, because it smelled great to me, and I took that sip, and obviously it had a pretty big impact on me, because I was like 8 years old, and now here I am, 47 years old, so 39 years later, I still remember this. And I took that first sip, and it burnt going down, and as delicious as I thought it smelled, at the time, I thought it didn't taste all that great, but I remember the burn. I remember that feeling of warmth and that, my face flushing on that first sip of wine. And I think it might have even happened then that I became an alcoholic. It's through circumstance and stuff that I couldn't become a daily drinker right then and there, because I'm 8 years old. And then fast forward to when I'm like 13 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old. Yeah, I was 13 years old. At my buddy's basement, and his brother's playing quarters with the beers, and uh, they, got me and my buddy to play, and they thought it would be funny to get us drunk. Well, it only took me like one beer to get drunk, but oh my God, what a life-changing moment that was. Hold on, the car barge is going to come by, so I got to pause it real quick. Sorry. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. But so yeah, 13 years old, I have my first drunk, and I loved it. I loved the way that it made me feel, and I couldn't wait to do it again. And then from there on out, I was a binge drinker for sure. Every time I would drink after that, it wasn't just to have a beer or two to get a little bit of a glow going. No, it was until I was stumbling, fall down drunk every time I would drink. And then, mix in other mind-altering substances like, weed and coke and acid and freaking you name it. If I could eat it, drink it, or snort it, like I was doing it, and I was going to do more than everybody else, and I was going to freaking prove it. But yeah, so there's that, and again, sure, I made the choice to have those first, have that, get that, have that first drunk. I made that choice, but I really feel like after the alcohol first entered my system, like all the choice was taken away from me after that, because I wanted it and I needed it, for many reasons. But even physically, like I'm talking more so not the environmental or emotional reasons for drinking. I mean, I am a bit, but I'm talking more about like the physiological, like actual need and addiction to alcohol. Now, if we want more evidence, and again, this is just anecdotal, this is my life, this is my story. Again, I was adopted in the whole thing with not a whole lot of alcohol use in my house. When I was 21, I met my biological mother, and I hung out with them for a couple of years, but come to find out that on my biological mother's side of the family, addiction ran rampant. I have my biological mom, I have a biological brother, and I have a biological sister. My biological sister, as far as I know, because I haven't spoken to her in years, it skipped her, or she doesn't have it, or maybe she was just smart enough not to give into it, I guess. But my brother, my cousins, aunts, uncles, everyone on that side of the family has a substance abuse and addiction issues and alcoholism to some extent. So when I met them, like it kind of dawned, like it just made sense to me. I was like, oh, now I didn't do anything about it. I didn't care. I was like, oh, it makes sense, that I am the way that I am. And I continued on, but it also went from being like, and I can't quite put a finger on it when it happened, but it went from being like a want, or like a kind of a need to get drunk and get out of myself and get that alcohol into my system, to to what they refer to as an obsession. Like I obsessed over how much alcohol that I had, when I was going to get my, be able to get my next drink into me. Like I would, towards the end, when I first got sober, towards the end of my drinking, then I would, map out which liquor stores to go to on each day, so they didn't realize I was an alcoholic, because again, back then I was drinking a 30-pack a day. So I'd go to one liquor store, get a 30-pack, and then I'd go to another one and another one, get a pint of vodka, tequila, or whatever, and it became a full-time job in and of itself, drinking. And then, it all came crashing down, destroyed my life. I hit the self-destruct button, lost everything, and sobered up. And I stayed sober for 7 years. Now, again, we're going to come back to, is it a choice, or is it something that you're born with? Is it genetic, whatever? But fast forward those 7 years, and I moved down here to St. John and the Virgin Islands. And I picked up a drink. And I knew as I was taking that first drink, I was like, fuck, where this fucking train ends. But my brain and my body was like, no, you got to take it. Like, freaking, you're fine. Like, you're 1,800 miles away from anything that, matters. Like, that would be destroyed by this. You'll be perfectly fine. But that little voice in the back of my head kept going, no, man, like, how this turns out. Don't do it. But, yeah, blam, there I go. And I was off and fucking running. So, I made a choice. I made a choice to pick up that first drink. But did I? It doesn't matter if you're sober for a week, a month, a year. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. And your body and your brain has just a fucking way, and your demons have a way of just sneaking up on you and starting, your demons start whispering in your ear, and then your body is, you still get the physical addiction and craving to it, and there is plenty of science to say that after so many days, like let's just say, and I'm just making up numbers for the sake of argument, like after 3 months, like your body is no longer addicted to whatever substance, and I say bullshit, absolutely bullshit, because I remember when my 7 years, plenty of times in my 7 years of sobriety, I would get whacked with a craving. I had a program. At the time, I had a sponsor, and I would talk to my sponsor, and I would go to an AA meeting. But towards the end, I stopped doing all that, and so when my craving snuck up on me and surprised me, like jumping out of the bushes, like, ha ha, I got you, bitch. Like, fucking, it was ridiculous. Like, I was unprepared, and I went with what my body knew and what I knew and what I thought would give me comfort and bring me joy and happiness. And, to be honest, like, it did for a while. I had a grand old time for myself until I didn't. I was partying, I was having fun, and then all of a sudden, I'm fucking spending $1,300 in a weekend freaking on booze and coke and freaking pissing my pants and not remembering where I was or who I was even sometimes. So it fucking sneaks up on you. It doesn't matter. Like, you always got to be vigilant. You always got to be prepared for it. But again, that brings me back to, I don't think it's a fucking choice. Like, we have free will, sure. But I don't think that me being an alcoholic was a choice. And so I'll give one more bit of an example of why I feel like being an alcoholic is something you're born with and not a choice. I think that you're genetically predisposed to it. Is that, I know I had just mentioned that I had met my biological mom. Well, turns out my, contrary to what I was told for most of my life, my biological dad is still alive and kicking. I actually have more siblings, but my, biological father had substance abuse problems too. So there it is, two sides of my gene pool, both sides of my gene pool, addiction issues. Kid raised in a household that had no substance abuse problems and things of that nature. And I become an alcoholic. And I really feel like that's all the proof that I need. A lot of people out there are going to be like, oh no, that's not the scientific method, blah, 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 da, 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 da. I don't give a shit. This is my experience and this is what I think. I think that I was genetically predisposed. And that's not to give me an out. That's not to give me absolution for being an alcoholic and the things that I've done under the influence. Absolutely not. But there is a reason why I turned out the way that I did. I truly feel that there is a reason why I turned out the way that I did. And is it a little disheartening? Yeah, it's a little disheartening. It's a little overwhelming sometimes because, in AA they tell you to keep it in the day and it's one day at a time, and I follow that for sure. But at the same time, it's sometimes hard to not sit there and look at the future and go, fuck, I can never take a drink again in safety. I can never be that guy who goes out and has one, maybe two beers and can go home and call it a night after that and not fucking turn into a menace or absolutely freaking make a scene or something like that. Like I can't be that. I can't do that. That's not a thing for me anymore. Going out and having drinks with my friends. So I guess now that I've established that it's not a choice, that it is that it's not a choice, that what do I fucking do about it? Well, what do I do about it? What do I do with that information? Like, what difference does it actually make that it's not a choice, or that it's mostly not a choice? Because again, I did choose to pick up again after knowing how it ends. I did choose a lot of things over the years, knowing full well the ramifications. Well, I tell you what I do. I abstain from alcohol. I don't put myself into situations where alcohol, the pressure to drink is going to be high. I don't allow alcohol in my house. One thing that has made it easier, and I can't remember if I spoke about this in my last video, but there's a guy in one of my groups, one of my AA groups. His name's Martin, older gentleman, and I didn't particularly care for him at first when I first met him in the meetings, and then I realized what it was that I didn't particularly care about, is that he reminds me of me, just 20 years older. Same attitude, kind of same not same generation, but same mentality, tells it like it is, very blunt, and I didn't like that because that's how I am. And after a couple of meetings and actually getting to know the guy and talking to him, like, he's actually a really, really good guy, really good dude, knowledgeable. He's been sober for 37 years. And so this is why I take his advice to heart, is that he said in one of the meetings, he says, what we need to realize as alcoholics, and what will make this sobriety thing so much easier for us, is that when we get our heads out of our asses and realize that alcohol is no longer an option, it is completely off the table. Like, we in AA and alcoholics, like, always use like the, oh God, I know how easy this would be to solve this, if I just pick up the bottle. No, we need to get that out of our heads and off the table. Drinking is no longer an option for us. Alcohol is no longer an option for us. It's not even anything that should be considered or in our toolbox. And ever since he said that, man, like, I tell you, my whole attitude towards the sobriety thing and this alcoholism thing has completely changed for the better. Like, I don't consider taking a drink as a viable option anymore. I was going through a funk for a little while. My marriage ended, and a couple other things happened in my life, but first and foremost, my marriage ended, and I'm pretty upset about that one, to be honest. Like, not gonna get into all the details, but like, yeah, she's a good girl. She is a good girl. She's not dead. She is a good girl. Um, and alcohol completely fucked that up. I think that the things that happened after I sobered up in our marriage would have been easily overcome had there not been a whole bunch of fucking bullshit that happened prior to to me sobering up, or us sobering up, really. But it is what it is, and I miss her, and I was going through a funk about it, and the thought did cross my mind, like, you know, I could make this all go away. I know exactly how I can make this go away. And it's those, but it's that. See, that's the fucking thing. Like, that's my addiction and my demons and my brain trying to trick me. Because I don't need to drink over that. I don't need to drink over anything. But so now, with what this dude said about alcohol not even being an option, like, it has made things so much easier, because it's not an option. It's not. Might as well just fucking put a gun in my mouth and pull the trigger. It's not an option. So back to my original point, and I don't think I had a choice. The only choice, I think, that could have saved me from a lifelong battle with alcoholism and addiction is that if I never ever took, if I could see the future and I never ever took that first drink. That's it. That's it. If I knew and had the mental capacity to process the information from seeing the future, that alcohol what alcohol was going to do to me, and how it was going to change and alter my life, maybe 8-year-old little Ronnie would have kind of decided not to take that first sip of wine. Or maybe 13-year-old me would have decided not to get drunk for that first time. But here's the thing, we don't have a crystal ball. And, you know, people always say, oh, you know, yeah, but you had DARE education and you were told the effects of what alcohol and drugs were going to do to you. You know. Bullshit. You know what DARE classes did for me? It gave me a list of things that I really wanted to fucking try, because they all sounded awesome. And again, maybe that's my genetic predisposition to alcoholism and addiction. I don't know. But no, I don't think being an alcoholic is a choice. Like, just the disease, for lack of a better term, the disease of alcoholism, having that is just like having anything else, just like having a peanut allergy, just like contracting cancer, just like anything. You're born with it. You're born with it, and you have it right from the rip. I guess that's all I got today, guys. I hope this video made sense. I hope I made some good points. I would love to hear your thoughts on it in the comments. I would love to, be able to discuss with you guys about your addiction or your thoughts on all of it, or anything. If you just want to say hi, I'll say hi back. But yeah, so just like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel. One more thing, I just wanted to point out, and I'm not being judgmental or accusatory, but if you are here watching one of these videos and you're on the fence about whether you have a drinking problem or not, I would say that the chances are pretty good that that you might have a problem, because people who don't have a problem definitely don't look up sobriety videos and how to get sober and how to stay sober, and listen to a raging alcoholic talk for a half an hour. But anyways, yeah, again, like and subscribe, I love each and every one of you. I really hope that my message is getting out there, and my subscriber base is climbing little by slow, and that's perfectly fine by me. My channel is as big or as small as God wants it right now. So, yeah. Yeah. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.